Good evening, good evening. Welcome to December. Well, what a month November was since the last live stream. Never thought the Archbishop of Canterbury would resign. I was going to say retire. Got retired in my head for so long, but no, he resigned. So, who's going to be the next Archbishop of Canterbury? We can talk about that. We can talk about the state of the Church of England. I did a video about that on Friday. What they're going to inherit. Would anybody want that job? Would it be me? It'd never be me. It'd never be me. And we'll speak about other things. I got my meetup, which I spoke about at the end of last live stream. That's gonna happen in January. My daily devotional, I want to push that because we're in Advent now. So I've been doing a daily devotional for nearly 2 years now, and so you can join that. That's comes out, and we talk about flies. But my little control thing isn't working, so I've got to do everything by manual. So let's just do the intro. So lots going on in the Church of England. So welcome. How is everybody? So we, where are we at? Let's start with what we're doing here in the parish. Yeah, last night we had our village light switch on, which was very cool. We have it on our little green, and I like this really simple in the village, just white lights. The village is not big at all, and we had two down on the stage with me. It was quite hectic. They all wanted, you can imagine there's like 30 kids on a little stage, and they all want to press the plunger. There was almost pushing each other off the edge of the stage to get there, but we sorted them out. They turned the lights on, which is great. So that was an awesome thing to do. Really great to see the little community we have coming together. All the little stalls on there as well. So we did that. What did we do this afternoon? So we got our little church hall. In fact, we call it a reading room, and it was an old cottage, so it's not your typical hall type thing. It's a little cottage, and today we had our ginger house making, Christmas ginger house making in there. We had 2 sessions because last year they were really popular, so we had one at 2 o'clock, one at 4 o'clock. I popped in on both, and so we pre-make the gingerbread to make sure it's sturdy enough. But the amount of sweets the kids put on, they put on so many sweets, it's crazy. But it's good. It's one of those Christmassy things as well coming in. So that was really good fun. We had our services this morning, start of Advent. So I took the services this morning. And usually on the first Sunday of the month, we have messy church. But we didn't have messy church today because we were doing the Christmas gingerbread house making activity. So messy church is going to next week on the 8th, where we're combining it with Christingles. So we've got elements of Christingles, so we're going to do the Christingles, but we're also going to do elements of messy church, and we're going to make decorations and stuff for the house, which would be very cool as well. So it's that busy time, and in that busy time around, there's all loads of other stuff going on as well, isn't there? The Archbishop of Canterbury resigning, the Making report. One thing, and it'd be good to hear off you guys tonight, that since the Making report's come out, and I said this on the video on Friday, how like the national church and the local church, they feel so far apart, so different to what the local church is doing. You know, we're here just getting on with our jobs, doing good work. You know, over the past couple of weeks, I've got a funeral this week, been seeing a funeral family, seeing 2 wedding couples and speak about their weddings next year, doing the Christmas stuff, speaking with parish council, going to, charity meetings that we have, having our PCC meetings, all this stuff that we just do. And then you got the national church and how it's getting in the press, and it just seems so distant. I don't know how it feels for you, if it feels like that, but that's one of the jobs that the new Archbishop will be leading the way. Not that they're the absolute head honcho but they do set a lot of the direction on this, as Justin Welby did, and how that you're going to draw them back together. And it feels like, all the power is in the national church, as it were, and it used to be the local church. The local church was where the important stuff was. It still is in that sense, and maybe they're God shaking the tree, and that will dropping my pen, that will come back again. So I don't know, how about and who do you think is going to be the next Archbishop of Canterbury? There are some front runners. I did that fun video, the non-scientific Google who's going to be the next Archbishop of Canterbury, taking all the articles that came up and then totting up how many times people were mentioned. It kind of gives a good indication, but there were 3 front runners, weren't there? There's Usher, forgot his first name, and then there was that Gooley, she got double barrel names, and Martin Snow. See, I can't remember them, but big jobs, and a split church. So tonight I'm having a cup of tea, and this is my mince pie from church this morning, and I just didn't want to eat it this morning, and it's been sat on my desk, so I might munch on that. Usually what I try to do is not have a mince pie until as far as I can into Christmas, but I failed this year because I've already had one. So yeah, we had two wreath making evenings as well in church, which was very cool. Lots of people in, and weirdly this year, for the first time, I would say 90% of the people were new. So it was about 40 people on the first one and 35 on the second one, and yeah, they were all new coming into our church. Some people obviously returned, but these people, because we put it on Eventbrite, they were coming down to the church, and they love the church. Our church is old, got wall paintings that we rediscovered in 1863, and there's a lot of history there. So they come in, and it's just a beautiful place. So yeah, so that's what we've been doing. So in the chat already, Baz says good evening. Mr. B says good evening. I'm listening whilst reading for the local church school governor board meeting this week. Oof. I used to be a school board governor, but because I was working half time, I said, I can't do all that extra work. Good on you for doing that, though. Good on you. You need to do some really good Christian governors there. But the amount of work for school governors now is unbelievable. So my compromise was to go to the meetings, but also go into the class and teach, and to do those other things. Go to the do assemblies and things like that. So, but a lot of work. So. Mr. B says he might be less vocal. We have to make this exciting. We have to make this exciting for him to, or controversial for him to want to join in. David Morehouse says next Archbishop of Canterbury, Bishop Newcastle. I don't know. I don't think. I don't think it could be the Bishop of Newcastle. Tot Dan Hartley. She is against assisted dying. Too controversial. Rev Dan. Well, I think most of the bishops are against assisted dying, which is one of the good things that actually they're coming out and saying and actually speaking about, and that's been a really good thing. I did find it interesting. I would find it interesting that they would also say that they're against abortion as well, because that's assisted dying, isn't it, in reality? So, but for the first time, they started to come out and speak about that. So, that's Bishop Graham Usher is tipped to be the next Archbishop of Canterbury. The thing is, see, if you got someone who's more liberal in their views, they're never going to win. So if you got someone more liberal in the views, they just won't be accepted by the church. We're just too far down the line with the living and love and faith process, and the same would be on the other side. With the liberals. So the church would never be united. That's what I'm saying. Not that I would mind an orthodox-minded bishop as next Archbishop of Canterbury, but I don't know. I think you could have someone like Martin Snow or someone like that who says he's marriage is between a man and woman, but at the same time he's voting for LLF in General Synod. So would people accept that? So yeah, so it's Graham Usher, it's that Gooley, that lady, And they all say as well they don't know if a lady would be accepted because of the global south, with a lot of the provinces down there who won't accept the ordination of women. So, and then Martin Snow. So we'll see. We'll see. Big job though. It's not just about, even in this, if you got the right person, it really narrows down, right? Even if you got the right person theologically that both sides would accept, and that's going to be hard anyway. But let's just take that as a given, right? Let's just say we have a person in there that is accepted by both sides. But then you got the whole safeguarding, and so like I've always said, safeguarding has moved forward, but there's still a lot to deal with the safeguarding, and the things that are happening at the moment. Like you've got people like local clergy who are stepping back from their permission to officiate, but the bishops are still in post, that divide. So you've got stuff, the fallout for the Making report and implementing those things. You've got the dwindling congregations and the lack of volunteers in local churches. Is that the Archbishop of Canterbury's issue? No, that's a local church. But you've then got what do you call it? You got money. Money's a massive thing in dioceses not having as much money because there's less people coming to church, less giving, and that's a ticking time bomb massively. What else you got? I'm trying to think of my video the other day. I'll think of some more. So, Richard Hinley, just getting the missus a cuppa, so drop in for 5 minutes. Saw your invite for the 25th Jan, but I'm preaching that weekend. My sister-in-law lives in Chalfont St Giles, so I'll pop up when I'm down there next. Oh, wow, that's cool. Yeah, so let's get that out of the way. So I said I would do a Rev Dan's meetup down here in Chalfont St Giles. If you haven't seen that, I will find the ticket link and drop it in. So, excuse me while I find the link. So that's all set up. I put it to 30 places. We got 17 at the moment, and 17 people, 13 people still can come if you want to come. It's a free event, and come down for the day. So it was a good conversation, and we're just gonna have a day in the parish and a talk and to meet up. So yeah, definitely say hello next time you're down here, Richard. Dave Morehouse, are they? Some are not so vocal. Yeah. They're not all vocal, but I suppose what I mean with the assisted dying, there's been more bishops speaking out about it than other issues, which is very good. Very diplomatic. I have to make sure that I don't get in trouble. Tyro, well, the choice is woke or even more woke, surely. I don't think that. Well, this is the position they're in, aren't they? I don't think they would want to pit someone who's really, really, really liberal, who would lose the Orthodox and the Church, because that's where the Orthodox are. I think the people on what they call the CNC, the Crown Nominations Commission, they got a really hard job. What we need is a God-led, a Holy Spirit-led, process where God calls that person there. People might be surprised then why we got this person, but it's the right person. But there are always going to be bishops who are going to get it. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. Richard, on the question of the next Archbishop, I have no faith in the process to choose someone good. Mark Tanner, Bishop of Chester, would be okay, but they wouldn't choose him. Exactly. There's some names that are there that are Orthodox that just won't get the role. It's like I said, I don't think at all I would ever be asked to get on the process to become a bishop, ever. They would see me as probably too divisive, and because I speak on issues on online, and that people wouldn't work with me, and it just so if you hold a biblical view like that publicly, That's it. You're probably done. And so, not that I'd want to be a bishop, to be honest. It's too far away now. Bishops are, it's, you don't see your bishops anymore. They're off doing something else. I couldn't tell you where my previous bishop before he died worshipped. I have no idea. I guess it was in the local church, or I don't think he ever went round. I don't know, and it's not a dig at him or anything like that. It's just saying they felt so far away, and they did their own thing, So that relationship wasn't there because their role is so different from what it once was. When they used to go around to local churches and they used to go preaching in local churches and things. So it was kind of isolating. I had this in when I worked in retail. I was a store manager, and they kept saying, people phone you up for jobs. They phone you speculatively and say, "Oh, we got this job. Would you want to apply for it?" And part of the kind of conversation was, where do you see yourself in 5 or 10 years' time? And I would say to them, well, I'll be in a store and it'd be growing, it'd be really thriving, got a great team, got great sales. And they were saying, they always said, no, you can't say that. You got to say that you want to progress in your career. And I'm like, why would I want to become an area manager? Because that was the next step. Area managers, you're very lonely. Your money's better, but you're driving around by yourself a lot. You got a few hours in a store where they hate you being there anyway, because you're going in to judge them and to get them better. But it's a lot of pressure when an area manager comes in, even if you've got a good relationship. And then you're back on the road again. It's really isolating. You spend a lot of time. And I thought, why would I want to do that? That's a completely different job to what I'm doing now. And I think that's the same with the bishops. Being a parish priest and then being a bishop is so far removed now from a parish priest. It's like, why would you want to do that? It's so much more fun being a parish priest and taking on the responsibility of the bishop. So, yeah, but who they choose, we have to see. David Moore, thank you for your response on this. Still my preference. I like her, although I've never met her. The Bishop of Anne Hartley, I think she came out to ask Welby to resign, which is a good thing and the right thing to do. And she calls out now and she's standing up, and that's a good thing. But that I think that also, you put your head above the parapet in that way. I think it also limits you, and people wouldn't want her there, even if they support her. It is liberal on the LLF and things like that. So Mr. B has a ticket for the event. Woohoo! There you go. David Morehouse, I too can be diplomatic. The battle isn't over yet. Assisted dying. No, the battle isn't over yet. And I did listen to the debate, and there were people saying, let's put this through to the committee stage and then for the third reading, and if we're not happy we will vote against it. So there is hope that it does get voted down. That would be a good thing. I think it is a slippery slope. I just don't think we're there at all in what they're suggesting. So, Sebastian, Bishop of Southwell and Nottingham, is he not Orthodox? Yeah, he is. He's Orthodox. And he wouldn't. He's good. The Bishop of... there was another bishop. I think it's called Michael Beasley, but with an A. I'm with an E on the rarer one. And he voted at one point for LLF and then changed. And he was quite, in the last General Synod, scathing in the process that all this was going through. And he got one of the, when I did my non-experimental, who's going to be the next Archbishop research, his name came up I think in the Telegraph or something like that. So we have to see. We have to wait and see. It'd be interesting when the betting, because they do the betting odds, don't they? It's quite funny how they go betting on the Archbishop of Canterbury. When I was looking for betting odds, because I thought that's a great way to measure it. They're obviously not open yet, but they 10 years ago, 12 years ago, when Welby came, they suspended the betting because people knew and started to put bets on Welby, and then they saw spikes on Welby in the betting, and so they had to suspend the betting, and people made some money out of that. And it was quite funny because it was probably it only had to be Christians who knew. It was making so like a bit awkward, but well done. So they'll probably keep it very they're very, very secret at the end. And it could be two people that are nominated. They always nominate two people. Who they could be, well, yeah, we'll wait for the odds. We'll wait for the odds. There are front runners. I think one thing that they want is, what I've kind of read, is someone in their like 50s, late 50s, and you probably get someone in their late 50s. So anyone in their 60s, they're not going to have like the Catholics. They had a pope for a long time, didn't? And then it was muted that they'll have an older pope, so it's for a shorter time. And so if they got someone in their 60s and they have to retire at 70, then we'd have an archbishop for a short time. But I think the amount of stuff that's got to be done in the Church of England, the amount of turnaround that we have to, I think it would need someone for 10 to 15 years. But it has to be the right person. So that's what I was going to say. Yeah, that's what I was saying. Or did I say it? If they've had the right person that everybody's happy with, they got to sort out all these other things. They got to sort out the safeguarding. They got to sort out all the relationships. They got to sort out a split in the Church of England. They got to sort out all this stuff, and that takes a skill set. That takes a really unique person with a really good skill set to reach and deal with all these things. So that really narrows the pool down. You look at all the people, say this many people, but we've got these issues, and so we need this type of person to deal with it. So I saw an article in one of the papers or magazines or online saying the next Archbishop of Canterbury needs to be a pastoral person, and I was like, I don't think we need a pastoral person. I think we need someone who could lead the church back to where the church should be. Not divided, standing on the authority of the Bible, not scared to speak out on issues, not scared to be disliked, and just a real visible person who is challenging like the government in the House of Lords and society and things. And I think the skill set to have that and to be, in a sense, liked as well is you're narrowing the field. Now, it's hard then to comment on who could be, because we don't know those bishops. And even the people in the parish might not know the bishops because, like I said, the bishops feel a bit distant in one way or another. So, where I am. David, my question, if you have ruled yourself out, what is your choice, Rev Dan? If I've ruled myself out, what is my choice? Who I'd want as bishop, archbishop? That was coincidence. I was thinking that was not me not answering. What's his name? I forgot his name. Bishop Guildford Watson. I think has got a good reputation. A good reputation in his. I think he got named in the Macon report in one way or another. So there's a bit of cloud overhanging. But he's orthodox, but has found a way with working with liberals in his diocese. That could be a person. It's interesting, the Anglo-Catholics. Have you seen that the Bishop of Oswestry? They say he should be. He's got an amazingly deep voice, and he's got this great kind of beard with this moustache. Google him. He's very cool. He would be a good archbishop. I tell you why, because he would it's just the way he speaks. He would, his sermon, a Christmas Day sermon would be awesome. It'd be like, that'd be cool. That's just from the cool thing. Having an Anglo-Catholic would be an interesting one. Catholicism, my lord. I like that name. Is there any idea about when the new archbishop will be appointed? No, they say like 6 months. I reckon personally, with a like this, they might aim to get an archbishop in by July, if they could potentially. They start the process in January. Well, no, they would have started the process now, but if they go through and they could find one by July, and the reason why I say July is because we got General Synod in July, and in the Synod in July, there's going to be these the same-sex blessing standalone services will be going through, and all that will be getting sorted. And I think they would want an archbishop to be there and there at that point, potentially. So I think if they got one, they will want by July. If they said, look, we don't need an archbishop there, or we don't want an archbishop by July for that General Synod, then I don't think it really matters then, because there's not much coming up after that. There's no synod in November unless they need one. So after that, it could be just at the time they need, however long it took. So, but it'd be interesting but then, like, if they get it in by July, then you don't want them to rush it, do you? You don't want it to rush it. So, Ifmeister, odds for Paul Thomas. That's it. It was Paul Thomas, wasn't it? The Anglo-Catholic with a great... You got to see him. He's just like... This guy is like... And I think even the evangelicals would like him because just the way he speaks. It's great. It's great. Mr. B, bishops get lovely palaces. They do. I heard the other day that in the Oxford they call it the Bishop's Lodge now. They don't call it a Bishop's Palace. I believe in the church. I don't get why, if you're an archdeacon or a bishop or an archbishop, you get paid more than even a curate, a training vicar. I think what's fair is everyone just gets the same. Because if you see on my videos, we're not a hierarchical structure. So the bishop and the archbishop are not above me. They don't look down on me. It's a horizontal structure. We are called to do different roles, but and so we're equal, and yet we're not, because in the world, in the secular world, it's become hierarchical, and that's what a lot of people perceive. But why do they need to get bigger, higher salaries when we're equal? You're just doing a different role, and one, it would help the church save money, and also bigger houses. Now, I get it, different vicarages and stuff like that are different sizes, but it is stipulated that they got to have like an office with a separate entrance. It's got to have a separate toilet and things like that. And when you add that to a kitchen and a dining room and a living room, they always will be a bigger house because the floor space downstairs is quite big. But the bishops have more stuff sometimes going on, working out of their house. So I've got no problem with that, having a bigger house. But sometimes you don't want a big house because you can't afford to heat it, you can't afford to run it. So it's just like, they always look lovely, and people, oh, you got a big house. My house looks big. It's very long, but it's 1 room deep, so it looks big, but it really isn't. If the front door was on the end, then it would just look like a very long, narrow house. They do get lovely places. Richard, your video on the assisted dying vote was great. Glenn Scrivener has also done a good analysis on his YouTube channel. Yeah, no, Glenn is. I met him last year at the art conference in London in November. First time I met him, he's really good. I got a lot of respect for that guy. He is really intelligent, and he knows his theology, and he gets it across well. My thing is, I'm just your average guy who's a vicar, but Glenn really gets stuff. Yeah, I got a lot of respect for him. Mark, Dan, I'd love to have a chat with you sometime if you've ever got any availability. Yep, I can make time. My email is, I think, below on the in the description box, revdan@btrministries.org. You can email and we'll try make something happen. David, a young Archbishop, tricky, Rev Dan. Well, with experience as well. So this is the thing. Justin Welby, I didn't know this, from being ordained to becoming Archbishop was 20 years. 20 years. So I got ordained 9.5 years ago. So to think like in 10 years' time, you'll be Archbishop. You know, there's, you in parishes, and this is the thing, what I think the next Archbishop would be really someone who's been a parish priest for a while, who knows, who really knows what it is like on the front line, the difficulties that we have, and they haven't forgot that. You know, the lack of volunteers at the moment, the dwindling numbers, the deficit budgets that we have to set, you know, the fundraising, the issues with the buildings, you know, to really understand what it is like that would be a really good to have that experience in. And so someone who's had frontline experience for quite a while, that would be quite good. And then what do you call it? And then it will get the gaps between that national church and the local church smaller, and that really needs. You know, when I worked in retail, I worked for Sainsbury's, and at Christmas, Sainsbury's used to close their head offices and all their sales and all those people, everybody, and they used to come at Christmas. I don't know if they still do it. They used to come at Christmas and work in the store, and to be honest, they weren't great because they didn't know how the store worked and stuff like that. And sometimes a bit more of a hindrance, especially when it's so busy and you're selling hundreds of thousands of pounds in a day, and you know you're dealing with all those customers and you're restocking and stuff. You just want people to know. But the good thing about that, and what I respect, was those people came down to the store and they really, really appreciated it, because it was such a, you know, they were doing all the buying, or they're doing all the stuff for stores, but they never knew stores really. They might go shopping and stuff like that, or they would go shopping, to be honest, because they would get their discount. And then but they never saw what happens behind the scenes and all these things, and they found it really, really useful to see what goes on, and it would help them improve in their job, and it helped them in their, you know, in their thought process and stuff. And that needs to happen in that one way, that kind of getting back down to the local level. Because ultimately, what is the Church of England? It is the local church. It is the 18,000 parishes or 18,000 churches across the whole of England. That's what the Church of England is. Not the national church, as it were, not the Archbishop. It's all those unsung heroes. So, Dave Morehouse, yep, stalling. Maybe that's to do the appointment. Richard, the new ABC will need to rebuild bridges with the Anglican Communion. Yeah, that's the other thing. The Anglican Communion, and that's massive as well, because the Anglican Communion, in a sense, is split. I don't know, even if they got an Orthodox Archbishop of Canterbury, whether they would just go, it's gone too far now, and we're too far down the line, and we don't see you as the first amongst equals. We're going to put our own first amongst equals now as the head of Anglican Communion. So, but even if you put an Orthodox in as Archbishop of Canterbury, you know, the House of Bishops still hasn't changed. The position on LLF still hasn't changed. We're still heading in that direction. So they would go, well, yeah, you're Orthodox, but your church isn't going to change, and you can't change your church. So, you know, yeah, it's good that you're here, but the direction of travel of your church is just something we cannot accept. So it doesn't really then change anything. This is, you see what I mean? It's such a mess at the moment. Whoever comes in is going to find a hugely difficult job. David, interesting, slightly nodding here. I think I know who you mean. Patience, God. I shall have. Will have his say. Oh, just can't read it. Just as Israel want a king, he sent Saul. Mr. B, with great power against great responsibility, palaces. I have a rectory because I'm a rector. It sounds right posh. A rectory. It wasn't right posh last year when we couldn't afford to put the heating on because the bills were so high. Here we go. I slaughter his name again. Fraji Pani. Just joined this evening's event. Good evening. Good evening to you. Sam, good evening. Did a sermon about the shepherds with 3 topics. God's love is for the outcast, and we should have 2 responses to the good news of Jesus: worship and sharing it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Finished my tea because I made that 50 minutes ago. I can't remember. I can't believe it's stayed so warm. That was lukewarm, that last one. So there we go. So I got my meetup. I've got also, I said I would push my daily devotional. So I got my daily devotional. Like I said, I've been doing it for 2 years. I film it just over there. So anyone who's coming to the event on in January, you get to come and see this office. It's quite funny when people come and see me and they know my videos. They walk in and go, "Oh, it's the office. Oh, it's the bookcase. It's the." But it's even more fun when people don't know at all that I do YouTube, because they walk in and they see Rev Dan up there and I have to explain to them that I'm just not so up my, that I just don't love myself that much that I just put my name up there. So I explain to them that I do stuff online, and that's just a backdrop thing. But they go, wow, this man's strange. What's he got his name up there? And have a picture of himself or something in the toilet as well. And so, so you get to come and see the office and where I record. Maybe I was even thinking, for fun, for those, get you to sit in this chair and do the introduction. Everyone's got to know the introduction now. Hi, my name's Rev Dan, I'm a vicar. And you go, hi, my name's whoever you are. I'm a and send a little recording back. It'd be fun. We're just gonna have fun. That's what we're gonna do. And you get to see the village and the church, which could be cool. So a backdrop. Yep. Dan, C of E must split on saying sex blessing based on Matthew 18:15. Can you share thoughts? Let me just pull that up. See if, well, let me dealing with sin in church. I think the where we are now with this and different, and understanding where people are with LLF and their views, because remember, not all. Some people will want same-sex blessings, which I disagree with, totally disagree with, and they say I want same-sex blessings, but I wouldn't go with same-sex marriage. Others will go, no, same-sex blessings is just a stepping stone, and it's same-sex marriage. I think it's become quite clear in the church now that we're never going to agree. There's people are not going to go, well, there will be a few who will go, I've got it wrong. I've looked at the scriptures and actually I'll change my mind. And others as well from the Orthodox side will change their minds. But they're the ones in the middle. Oh, my blind's fallen down. So you can just see it there. But we're very understanding now our doctrine, and I said this. We have two different doctrines, and you can't have two different doctrines on this in one church on the same issue. And for many people as well, it's a salvational issue. So at what point, when it's a first order issue, can you be in communion with with other people? And so in that sense, not even based on, well, partly based on Matthew 18, it's a lot of people saying now to, I think in most cases, firstly to their bishop, but also to other priests around them, we can't be in communion. We can't be friends. And let's not forget about being friends and, loving each other. We will disagree on this, but it doesn't mean we're not friends. I think, splitting people, there's people in churches around me who, before all this came out, we got on really well. We totally disagree over this, but it doesn't mean that we start, lobbing stones at each other and not speaking to each other and stuff like that. We love each other. We're friends with each other. When we go to meetings, it's like, hi, how are you? How are you doing? We know where we stand. And, we know that we can't be in communion in that sense with each other. But, and that's, let me just go to Matthew. It's that thing. So Matthew, if they refuse to listen even to the church, treat them as they were a pagan or tax collector. And what's important in that, how did Jesus teach tax collectors? He loved them. He sat down and had meals with them. He knew they weren't there, with the faith believing in him and following him. But we don't take that verse and say you're ostracized. You are absolutely pushed out, and we want nothing to do. You're totally unclean. Go stand over there with the lepers, and if anyone comes near, shout unclean, unclean, so no one comes near you. No, treat them as the pagans or the tax collectors. And Jesus was with the tax collectors. He was ministering to them. He was preaching to them. So where we find that people we disagree with them. It's like, we can't be in communion together. But if we disagree and I think you're wrong, as they would think I was wrong, we can still converse. We can still, because how otherwise will they ever change their mind? And being angry at each other will just, it's completely pointless, because they're going to be heading in a direction where no one's pulling them back and saying, look, you got this wrong. And so we have to say that we cannot be in communion, and that's what a lot of people are saying now, and more openly. But we don't actually cut off ties, because I think that's the dangerous thing, How are people supposed to change their minds if we're not conversing and speaking about these things? So that's and that's a tough thing, because the easiest thing, right, is to hate each other, isn't it? The easiest thing, and the devil loves that. Just to say that I can't be in communion with you doesn't mean that we just cut all ties. I think that'd be absolutely awful. I think that would be, and that's what, in a sense, how would that look to non-Christians? What does that look like? That would put people off. So that's my thoughts. They're my thoughts. David Morehouse, I'm a new subscriber. Can you tell? Came across your videos a couple of weeks ago. Oh, well done. It's good. Thank you. Welcome to the community. Mr. B, I am yet to hear any explanation for LLF with biblical interpretation. Has there been any attempt to explain the rationale backed up with Bible verses? No, there isn't. And when the Bishop of Oxford came to our deanery the other day, there was a question about tell us a Bible verse, because they did, you could do it on an app. And so they were up on the screen, give us the Bible verses that support this. And he said, well, you can't really. And there aren't any. There aren't. There just aren't. Which I always said as well. I said, if there was one Bible verse that overtly said do it, everyone would go, oh, this good, because we can get on. We're Bible believing people, and if it says do it, we'll do it, and that's absolutely fine, and our lives would be so easy. But there isn't one Bible verse that says do it, and that's the problem. We can't do it because there isn't one, and there isn't one that they can point to. It's all other. Oh, but this word, porneia, means this, and it doesn't actually mean that, and in this circumstance they were talking about this, and they won't speak about that, and it's all taking what the Bible's saying and saying, no, well, actually, what it means is this, you've got it wrong, rather than pointing to a single verse, and that's a problem. So there isn't, and so you've got the Faith and Order Commission, it's called FAOC, who are looking into all of the same-sex blessings, the doctrine of marriage, the what else? Pre-centered same-sex relationships, and they're looking into the theology of all this. And from what I hear, they kind of get behind. There's so much work to do because they've been jumping through. If put it this way, if it's there, it's there. It's quite clear. But if you have to go, and it feels like with LLF, you have to go all around the houses, and then say this is it, and it's like, well, if it's that simple, well, if it's simple, it's there. But if you have to do this and do backflips and jump through hoops and all this like that, then it's not going to convince us. And that's the thing. The longer this goes on, and they're still failing to simply put across their argument and the rationale, the weaker it will seem, because we just keep going, well, it says in the Bible, it's there. And so when we speak about doctrine and things like that, now we got these specialists who will go, we're going to research this, we're going to look into this, and we're going to have all these meetings, and there's all these vicars out there going, but it's in the Bible, it's just right there. It's just like, what's happening is, we'll wait and see what they say, what they come out with. It'll come out in September, January, the papers for the February General Synod, and then we'll see what's being said, and that will be interesting. Jane, so the assisted dying bill, my thoughts are basically, my life is not mine to take. What are your thoughts? My thoughts are basically, my life is not mine to take. What are your thoughts? Oh, yeah. Well, my thoughts, yeah. We're here. Okay, so say we're Christians on this, in this scenario, and we're here to witness to all those around, and I remember when I was at theological college, I went on placement at a hospital, and I remember this guy's name, and I'm really, if you watch my channel, my name, my memory is awful, but I remember this guy's name. He was on the heart ward. It was just before Christmas. He was on the heart ward. He travelled up from somewhere to see his kid, who was married, and had something wrong with his heart, and went into hospital. And this man was an amazing Christian, and while he was in the hospital, he evangelized to all the doctors and nurses, and he had such a personality. And when we said to him, can we pray with you? He said, yeah, but then after he said, can I pray for you? And his prayers were just like, wow. I mean, we walked out of that room and just so uplifted from him. And this guy he went just before Christmas to spend Christmas with the family, and he was in this heart ward, and he knew that he couldn't spend Christmas with his family. He knew that he would be in there until after New Year, and yet he took the opportunity to evangelize. Say the assisted dying bill was there, and he got the option of right, Mr. Grantham, you're not going to make it. You can die next week if you would like. This guy would just go, no way, you're taking the time away from me to evangelize. So there's that one thing. We are here, as long as we are here, in every time and every place. And if I'm in a hospice, I hope that I can speak to those doctors and nurses who are helping me in my last days and hours about the hope of Jesus Christ. And I hope, whether it's true or not, that thing where a man says, come and watch how a Christian dies, I hope that I could say that confidently. Come and watch me die and see the confidence and hope that I have. So I think that on that one thing, the Christian, no matter where we are called to share the love and good news of Jesus Christ. And how do you do that unless in a hospice, unless you are in a hospice? But on the other thing, it's the sanctity of life. We're made in God's image, and to ask someone else to take lies in such a way is not right. And then we got all the judgment and how do we know there's 6 months to live exactly and all these things. But those are the technical things. For me, it's about the sanctity of life and our call as Christians to live that out. And we're created in the image of God, and it's not for us, for anybody to take anybody's life. And we know that. We're told that in the Bible very clearly. So, yeah, I just can't share that. And the same with abortion. And I spoke about that before. In this reads mangoes. It's a nice name. Hi, I love your videos. Thank you for them. Sorry if this is not allowed, but do you believe in modern gifts of the Spirit, tongues? What's your view on Free Church of Scotland? Are you a Calvinist? There's lots of things there. Modern gifts of the Spirit, well, tongues and stuff like that, and prophecy have been around since. Do I believe that it stopped? No, I don't believe it stopped. I believe that miracles still continue today, because that and people speak in tongues and people don't speak in tongues, and I got no problem people speaking in tongues. I got no problem people not speaking in tongues, and do I see? So the gifts of the Spirit today, yeah, absolutely. On the Free Church of Scotland, I don't really know much about the Free Church of Scotland at all, so that would be something I would need to see, so I can really say. And am I a Calvinist? Let's ask, am I a Calvinist? Do you guys think I'm a Calvinist? And I'll tell you a bit later if I remember. Where are we? Oh, I need to catch up on my chat. Where are we? I lost myself. I'm gonna have to go on the long chat on this side. Let's go to the second cam so I can catch up on the chat. What's that? Oh, cool. There's a lot of chat. Okay, I'll have to do a fast one. Also, sorry if you said that before. I'm not so sure. Thanks very much. No problem, Ines. I say a lot of things. You guys are very patient. Mr. B. Steele Manning, LLF. I'd say that it is an attempt to bring people into the church, then support them to repent and accept a chaste life. But that wasn't what Mr. Welby said to Mr. Campbell. No, absolutely not. Said something very different. Dad's 1 Corinthians 5:11. We love them, but not friends in fellowship. Yeah, absolutely. That's it. I love it when I look, my go very bright there. My when I'm chatting and then I catch up and then and then it's a few minutes ago. So I'm thinking. Music, Matt salute. Also happy Advent Sunday, wrote down, for Archbishop 2025. Could you imagine? I would have to stop doing my videos. Could you imagine? There'd be so many people. You can't say this, you can't say that, you can't say this, you can't say that. It'd be awful. Baz, basic question here, but can you elaborate on what you mean by a salvational issue regards LLF? Does it mean you're not saved if you believe in LLF? To be clear, I'm heavily against LLF. Yeah. So people like Vaughan Robertson. It becomes a salvational issue. So if you are preaching a false gospel, if you believe that you are, by saying it's okay to have sex outside marriage, by saying it's okay to do all these things in such a way and live your life in sin perpetually, because that's what you're saying. You can get married, you can get blessed, you can have sex and all these things, and it becomes a salvational issue, because again, when you repent and your life is changed by Christ, you would see a change. And so the question is that a change? And so some people will see it as a first order issue, as I say, and it's a salvational issue. Some people will say, well, it's not a salvational issue, that they're just completely wrong, but they will still get to heaven. And so people are split on this. But those are the two things in the church. So a guy called Vaughan Roberts from St. Ebbs will say it's a salvational issue. Others will say it's a second order issue. Even other people say it's a third order issue. Like the second and third order issues would be, you can't live your life like this, but it's not going to stop you getting into heaven. First order issue would be, this is going to stop you. You're truly not living a Christian. You're not showing the fruits of the Spirit, as it were, in that sense. So, yeah. David, that's right. But Dan well said, salvation is for all. It is for all. The message, gospel is for all. 1 Corinthians 5:11 says, don't associate with those claiming Christ and living this way. So that kind of goes to Baz's thing. And it's not judging. So if you see it's a salvational issue, do they know Christ already? That's the question. But and this is the trouble with the gospel, because there is a point that you kick away the dust off your feet, isn't there? But how do we interact with people who we fundamentally disagree with when the Bible says one thing and we're Christians living that way? And it's for me, and and we're wrong. If I'm wrong on certain things, then I have to go to the judgment seat of Christ, like we all do. And this, so the way that I take things, if I am wrong on this, is it a massive issue that I still try to speak the gospel to people when perhaps you read 1 Corinthians 11? Don't associate with those claiming to Christ and live in this way, but you're trying to help them to see the way, because they're in places of influence. They are preaching a gospel, and you don't want them to lead people astray. If I'm right or wrong, it's one of those. But do I err on the side of doing it or not? And I look at what would be the judgment seat of Christ, and then work my way back, if you know what I mean. But those, I don't believe, associating them. That's not going to stop me getting into heaven. It's not going to stop them in that way. But how do we live our lives as Christians? It's one that I've been thinking on, and I keep thinking, and I've changed my thoughts since. For the past 18 months, I've changed my thoughts on how we deal with each other. I got to find my I got this verse and I keep forgetting it, which I found really helpful. I'm going to go back to this camera. No, my thing doesn't work. Which helped me on how we deal with other people. Shoo. Let me go to my tab with the Bible. And let me chat at the same time. So, Sorry about this. This is boring viewing, but I'm just catching up. So much chat because I've been chatting. I'm just trying to. Robert says, "Not a woman, please." Agreed, Robert. Alan just been listening to Father Paul Thomas. Yeah, go listen. Go listen to him. He's awesome. I just want to get everything else out. Doesn't matter how good he is actually at management but his voice, but just do it. It's brilliant. That would be funny. Okay, I'm going to catch up. I'm just scanning through, guys. Sorry. Right. I'm going to go back to this. Oop, I turned... Where am I? I'm completely lost. Let's see. Right. I'm going to shoot down to the bottom, and I'm going to catch up on the other way. So what did I say? I was going to get that verse, but I can't even remember what book it was. Is it 2 Timothy? It's awful. My mind is awful. It's horrendous. I find these verses and I think they're really, really helpful, and then I can't remember what they are. It's absolutely shocking. And I got all these pieces of paper. Look at this, my kind of stuff I write down, and then I keep them just in case I wrote something on, like what that verse was. It was something like, oh, I got it. 2 Timothy 2:23-26. See, I wrote it on one of my pieces of paper and it's here. That's why you keep them. 2 Timothy 2. I found this really helpful. 23-26. This is NIV version. It says, "Don't have anything to do with foolish and stupid arguments, because you know they produce quarrels. And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but must be kind to everyone, able to teach, not resentful. Opponents must be gently instructed in the hope that God will grant them repentance, leading them to a knowledge of the truth, and that they will come to their senses and escape from the trap of the devil, who has taken them captive to their will." That's when I was going through, how do we deal with those who totally disagree with us? How do we speak with people? And I found this instruction from Paul to Timothy, and it's entitled "Dealing with False Teachers" here on the NIV. Incredibly helpful. You know, don't have anything to do with foolish or stupid arguments. Absolutely. Because they know they produce quarrels. Absolutely. When we know the truth, we know the truth. We don't need to get into stupid arguments about things. And the Lord's servant must not be quarrelsome, but must be kind to everyone, able to teach, not resentful. And that's what I mean. Is we can, in Aleph and all these discussions, we can get resentful. And that's not Christian. That's not good, and especially to the outside world. Opponents must be gently instructed in the hope that God will grant them. It's God. You see, it's God. We instruct them, but God will grant them repentance, leading to the knowledge of the truth. And they will come to their senses and escape from the trap of the devil. See, the devil has taken them captive to do his will. It's not said. We don't speak about that, you know. And so how do we deal with this? And I found that incredibly, incredibly helpful. So, lots of thoughts going on. Let's see where we are. Anyone got their Christmas? Let's take it down a notch. It's got their Christmas decorations up. And when did you put them up? See, when I was in retail, because they started Christmas in October, sometime end of September, beginning of October. Horrible. I wouldn't play Christmas music in my store. I was a store manager until December the 1st. And then Christmas music would go on. We had so many people walking in our store and walking around and then realising there's no Christmas music and coming up and saying, this is great, I'm sick of Christmas music. Like in October and November. And we're like, absolutely. We don't want to be in November and have Christmas music for the next 2 months. I don't mind December. So it's like the rule. The rule is December the 1st. And then we can start putting Christmas decorations up. But yeah, I'm not... Retail kills you. Retail kills you. They kill you. They want to just get Christmas and Christmas and Christmas. So there we go. But where are we going? I'm going to choose a cut off. Sorry if I'm going to miss stuff because I am just going to catch up. MJ Cravens, hope you're Calvinist, but I'll still love you as a brother in Christ, even if you're not. So the Calvinist, the Arminian thing, the modernist, and all these things, is that a first order issue? No. How we believe people come to salvation, how we believe those different things. Calvinists will say John Wesley was great. He was a brilliant preacher. Charles Wesley, brilliant hymn writer, and we probably sung one of his hymns this morning, right? And I know we did. But just because they were Arminian, it's just that's our understanding of how people come to faith. We'll get up into heaven and we go, oh, it's that way, was it? But it doesn't stop people getting to heaven. So for me, I don't. It was a big thing at theological college. All this stuff. But actually, you get out into the real world, and it kind of doesn't matter. I don't mind if people are Calvinist, Arminian, or whatever. As long as you know Christ, you've got Jesus, and how people come to faith, whether God's preordained and called them, or it's down to us to go out and preach the gospel and to change people's lives. We got to do that anyway. So for me, tulip or not tulip. It doesn't matter. I think we just need to know Jesus in our lives and go to preach the gospel. And I might be wrong on my position, to be honest, and that's fine. In one way, I think I'm right, and I'll see. I'll see you later. David Moore, if my memory serves me correctly, 28 votes needed from MPs to defeat the assisted dying bill at the next stage of the debate. See what happens. Yeah, but see what work they put in. I think it goes down to the work. Calvin was an error in many points. Mr. B, widowed but happy to remarry the right person of the opposite sex. Let's get down. Mr. B, I'm not getting my school governor reading done. Whoa, success! That's what we want. We want to make it. Sorry, Mr. B, that's not good for you, but it's good for us. It means it's good. It's good here. Tyro, I know two of the bishops who questioned first and second order issues. They said who decided them. Is it? Oh, really? Well, that's the thing. It's interesting. They decided it's difficult for different people, like on LLF, some people say it's a second order issue, some people say it's a first order issue, and they'll disagree on that. So, TP made Cassoulet tonight. What is Cassoulet? I have no idea what Cassoulet is. Eostin, the church needs to back up the dignity of human life. Absolutely. We need to speak out about this. I was really proud of my church. On the back, by the door where we have, not where you don't know my church, but most people have like some kind of table. We got bookcases, and on there last week turned up these flyers speaking against the assisted dying bill, and we don't know who put them there from the church, but we were all like, good on you, well done. We're not going to take them away. And of course we had visitors in our church this week. We had we had 2 evenings of wreath making, and they would have walked past that and they would have seen them there. And I bet you all those people, and they weren't Christians, would have gone, yeah, I understand why they're there, because Christians would be against that thing. Do. Right, I'm catching up in my head. What's your view of women's ordination and preaching? Do you believe the Bible is inerrant and infallible? Thank you. Well, and it's got lots of questions. Might get onto that. I might not. Rev Dan's wife is Colombian or something. My wife is Colombian. She is Colombian. Oh, like the video, like the video, like the video, like the video. Jude, okay. Jude actually causes a quarrel to challenge immorality. The Timothy text is not for LLF context. It's yeah. I'm going to look into Jude. Send me the verse. Who has got Advent calendars? Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. Keep turning my things on. Okay, let's go back over here. Trying to catch up. Mr. B, who's getting too pro? I reckon Catherine is telling him how to get professional with the broadcast. Miss Robert, right, I'm not a Calvinist. I guess I was predestined to be an Anglo-Catholic. That's very good. There you go. Genuine question. Who decided what a first order salvational issue is? Is it in the book? I think it's a judgment call, to be honest. It's looking at does this lead people away from Christ? Does this not look like a Christian life? If you want to see, and I don't know if there's any stuff out there by Vaughan Roberts speaking on this, because he will say, and I've been to meetings where he say, this is a first order issue, and that's why now we can't be in communion with the bishops. That's why now because it's so dangerous to lead people down this path. It's like the Archbishop of Canterbury saying on that interview it's about politics and stuff like that. Sex is okay in a committed long-term relationship, whether it's heterosexual or homosexual, and everyone's like, what? No, it's for marriage, and it's not even that it's you're saying heterosexual as well. You're saying to the whole, and it's like that's not what the Bible teaches. I'm not saying this is a first or second order issue, but it's taking something like that and saying, okay, if you're teaching that and saying this is, you don't need to be married ever, but you can be having sex, you can be, and which leads to children, and they're not, where does that lead that person? And that's the question. This is just trying to give an example of trying to help the direction of travel. Where will that lead person if they're Christian? Because we have to do as God has called us, and so when people come to me about marriage and things like that, it's interesting because in the LLF they say, oh, but you don't ask them about sex, and I say, look, if they're a young couple, they're living together, or if they're not, I say, look, I guess you're having sex, and they like, oh, I say, look, right, if you're going to get married, and which is what we believe as Christians, then just abstain. And abstain until your wedding day, and make it really special. Make it something that's that you have a nookie 2 days before you get married, and then you're having it again, and it's just different on your wedding date. Like, abstain and build something up and make it absolutely a beautiful thing, something that you're waiting for, you're desiring each other on that night, right? By like saying, oh no, it's okay, you don't even need to be married and stuff like that. It's like, so you take these things and you kind of follow the logic and you follow the argument and saying, is this good for this person, or is this bad? And that's where you start with the salvational issues, is it first, second order. But like I said, even different people will disagree You know, I know people who say it's a first order issue. Other people say it's a second order issue or salvational issue. David Morehouse, really enjoyed this, very helpful, and thank you, Rev Dan, for taking time to answer my question. Keep this in our hearts and minds. Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life. Amen. Absolutely. That's the most important thing in all this, is keeping our eyes on Christ. Let's get this comment and go on to the next one. Oh, see, but you know that I read everything out. How's the 30 going? Oh, 30 people. Let me see. We're on 17. For the people to come. To be honest, I put it at 30. I said to my son when I did it, if we get between 15 and 20, then I think that's great. I was expecting between 15 and 20. I just went off my tab. So that's good, and some people might make it, and there were 3 or 4 people who said they can't make it, so that's really nice as well. So we're right on target, I think. If we got more, absolutely brilliant. Shame. Mr. B, when I was a child, my advent calendar was always religious pictures and no chocolate, and now I'm here on Rev's Dan channel. My wife got me an advent calendar today. It's a coffee one. It's not an advent calendar. It's a box, and you pull the bottom, and you take out a coffee thing for each day. So I only got it tonight. It got delivered just like a couple of hours ago, and then I pulled it out, and I looked at the first one, and I looked on the back, and it's like pouches, and you put the hot water in, and I said, "Oh, you can make 2 cups," and she was like, "Yes!" so she got another advent calendar, because every morning she'll have a cup of coffee. That's not a bad thing, having a cup of coffee with your wife. So, but there's different coffees, so that's good. Is it? Because I did think it's going to be a bit of a lottery, isn't it? 25. I got 25 cups of coffee, and I like coffee, but some of them are going to be a hit, and some of them are going to be a right miss, and so it'd be interesting. It's a kind of Russian roulette, isn't it? I don't even know if I'm going to like my coffee, but well, good. It's good. I like interesting advent calendar. I got one of those makeup-y type ones for her. It's a very special present. Difficult to get hold of the meaning for the season nowadays. Oh, I don't know what that is. Eoston, what's that? But just tired. Explain a bit more. Mr. B, we have so many single parents, and with the best will in the world, that isn't ideal for the children's society. Yep. And statistics and data show that as well. That's the thing, and data shows that. It doesn't help or benefit society. And we need to speak, and this is the thing, going back, to the Archbishop of Canterbury and things like that. We need someone who speaks about this. And will they offend a lot of people? Yes, but we need to change the way culture is and help people to understand, because it has been proven through studies, scientific studies, the best place for a child to be brought up is with a mother and a father in a stable relationship. Sorry, my daughter just sent me a message. But of course it is. Why? We're not surprised, because the Bible tells us that God sets out a good way of life for us to live, and so the Bible tells us that. And so we're not surprised. We're like, yeah, because we knew that already, because your data and our Bible, they it's what it says. So, Ines, what's my call to ministry like? Sorry, last question. Don't answer if you don't have time. Do you know all like the Westminster Confession of Faith? Ines, you have lots of big questions, and I will answer them one day, but not tonight. My call to ministry was painful. No, it wasn't painful. It was quick. It was very quick after becoming a Christian. and exciting. I was at my what they call the Bishop's Advisory Panel, about 2 years, 2 2 3/4 years after I became a Christian. It was incredibly quick. And I didn't think I should be there, but I had a very good person who was speaking and helping me through the process. He said, God's going to use you. And I was like, but what about Paul to Timothy? I'm too new a Christian. And they said, no, there's something, God will use you. And that's been a trust. That's been a trust thing. And so I went through and got through, and it was quite crazy. The hat doesn't suit me on the thing. It doesn't. Hats don't on the thumbnail. That is, the hats don't suit me in real life. I look awful in hats. You see those people. I'm one of those people. If I put a hat on, I just don't look good at all. It just looks awful. So I never wear hats. I just don't wear hats. Robert, the chocolate in my advent calendar, my Cadbury calendar is much smaller than the previous years. Packaging same size. Capitalism sucks. Yeah, absolutely. We always do buy. I'm looking for mine now. The real Advent Chocolate Company. Is that the one? The Christian one? Right. Here's the thing. Right. Going off. Who's got a problem with flies? You can't see these flies, like fruit flies. Here in the house, it was their nightmare. We've got hundreds. It's just a nightmare. Cannot get rid of them. And so we thought, we got like an infestation. We thought, oh, it's a nightmare. We're just trying to get rid of them and try and get rid of them. Like, bless you, go see the Lord. Bless you, go see the Lord. And then I was down, when we was doing the lights on yesterday in the village green, I see them flying around down there. And they were just flying around out. And it's just like, have we just got an infestation? And they're flying around me at the moment. And in the village. And we cannot get rid of them. And they're in the weirdest places. Oh, I missed it. Oh, I got it. And then it flew out. Like the bathroom. They love the bathroom. I'm like, you're fruit flies. How do you survive in the bathroom? It's just a nightmare. They multiply. Oh, before I just had to spend like half an hour in the kitchen just trying to, a nightmare in the kitchen, trying to get them out. I don't know. Are you infested with flies? That's the question, because we're infested with flies, and they're just tiny as well and annoying. Advent nativity set. Lord of the Flies has come. Yeah, Jenny, we had a minister in training preach today. She's a lady, absolutely lovely, but I'm a little worried about it. Is it okay for a woman to preach? Love your channel. Blesses to you and the family. So women to preach. The church is split on this. I think it's more acceptable for a woman to preach in this day and age. Some people will say no, and some people will say yes. We have a lady minister in our church. I'd be more worried about the content of their preaching, and that they're preaching well. There's many good women out there who preach really well, but there's also people who preach not well. So I don't think you need to be worried about this. I think be concerned that they're not preaching the gospel. That's what I would say. Gonna get behold the Lord of the Flies. Gonna get loads of flies things now. I don't need more flies on my thing. That's look, flies with fire. Oh, that's what. Yeah, that's that. Oh no, honestly, I have got something called an exterminator, or something like that. It's a massive. It looks like a tennis racket. It's electrified, and you press a little button, and they pop. Honestly, they pop, but they go quickly. So going back to the lady minister, same with the men minister, making sure they preach the gospel, that they're true to the word, that they're not preaching woke things. They're also not preaching the gospel. Because you get orthodox ones, but they just don't speak into the society issues. They don't speak about the gospel, and they play it safe. So that's where I would go, definitely for that. Mr. B, I'm still in awe that the Turin Shroud is the earliest known photograph, whether JC it is or not. See, I watched a documentary a few years ago about Turin Shroud, and that the person who even dated it, it came out as medieval, came back and retested different samples and said this is the Shroud of Christ, and they do you know this? It's an interesting video. I think it's on YouTube, and it's like a documentary, like an hour documentary. They took it to Holland, or took something to Holland of it, and they found that they put it under 3D imaging or something, they extracted the information from the Turin Shroud, because there's so much information stored from that impression, that they extracted it, and they, the old 3D glasses, not the ones you get in the cinema now, the old red and blue ones, right? The old red and blue ones. If you get those, and I've done it, the Turin Shroud turns into a 3D image, and you can see it on on the documentary. I think they got it, and you pause it, and you get your old glasses on. I think I still got mine, and you can see the Turin Shroud is a 3D image. And they said this has never, ever been... Well, the technology wasn't even there a few years ago to do that, and let alone on this this shroud that perhaps is from the time of Christ. And so I'm pretty convinced, just from that it's... the funny thing is, if you say that, if you get convinced of something, which people are saying it's a medieval hoax and all that, or it's from the medieval time, everyone jumps on and say, you're crazy, you're just a weirdo, you're just... And it's like, but have you watched the video? Have you gone back to research this and stuff like that? And people are like, no, I just take it. I saw it in the Sun. It said in the Sun it's a fake, so I believe it's a fake. so Kenneth, St. Bridget and St. Hilda examples of well-respected women in the church. That's a question, but I guess so. If they're saints, they must be. I don't know them though. Freddie, Fanny, Dan, did you have local flooding in the last week? I'm thinking about coffee in St. Giles on Tuesday. I'm thinking about coffee in Chelford St. Giles on Tuesday. Did we have any flooding? Yes, we did have flooding around here in the last week. Oh, it rained, man. The drains, it's a nightmare. It keeps flooding and flooding around here. In the village, Chelford St. Peter, they closed it. They literally closed the road into Chelford St. Peter, and it's just flooded all the time. And they opened it for a short while, and then it rains again, and it's floods. So, and thinking about coffee and... Yeah, if you're in Chelford St. Giles, yes, I know I got a fuller diary, but I can see. If you're around, let me know. We could see on women preachers. Paul would disagree with you on women preachers, I think. Yeah. Like I said, I got a lady in my church, so yeah. Let's leave. And that wasn't a positive or negative. It's just I was just thinking there's quite a big thing. If you watch Mike Winger, and I did watch Mike Winger's thing about women in leadership and stuff like that, which was like 11 or 12 hours long. That's a big subject. So I'm just thinking it's 9:30 and we're going to come into land. So I thought let's not go down there at the moment. Yeah, the 3D is awesome. It shows the rigor mortis. Yeah. Oh, you've seen it as well. That is so cool. So cool. Everyone here should be listening to Slayer right now. Robert, Gary Habermas, a US evangelical apologist, believes in the authenticity of the Turin Shroud. So the other thing that would convince me about the Turin Shroud. So what people don't know about the Turin Shroud, there was well, it says in the Bible, there's another piece of cloth placed over Jesus' face, and also had the same imprint, and that is in Spain. and they took the imprint of that face, what they had, and the Turin Shroud. I think I'm right on this one, and it's the same. Or it might be that they took the dates of the material and then the same, or it could be both, because I did watch it a while ago, and so it kind of marries up that as well on a separate piece of material that was there as well. So I'm pretty convinced it's real. And the other thing which is quite cool, they when they looked at the shroud under this new technology, they found coins on the eyes, was it? And did he have something on his neck which literally said Abba? And that's just phenomenal. Was it on his neck? I can't remember. You have to watch the video. But it had something saying Abba, which means father. And that's how Jesus called his father. So this was like, wow, this is, something. So, coffee in a coffee shop with a friend. Wasn't thinking of turning up on your doorstep. Oh, okay, so I'm not invited. Oh, right. It's like, no, I'll let you have a coffee. I'll just walk past. You go to the deli. You go into the deli. When I'm going to walk past and they're just going to stare at you. I don't know what you look like, but you'll feel awkward. Like, oh no, there's Dad. You're staring. I'll go, oh, I know you are now. Sorry, there's me feeling all special, thinking you wanted to come and see me. That's a lesson. Keep me humble. That's it. Keep me humble, people. Keep me humble. Miss B, the shroud is an awesome item. Whatever the truth, I find it very convincing. Yeah. Veronica's veil, that's it. Veronica's veil, that's the other bit. There's seeds and soil from Jerusalem on it. Yeah, there's so much. It is quite interesting. And what's interesting is like the hoax thing, saying it's from medieval. Of course, that's what they would want to get out, right? This isn't the real shroud of Jesus, because why would the devil want people to start believing that Jesus was actually resurrected? Here's evidence of Jesus actually being resurrected. It's quite crazy. I'd love to see it. It'd be quite cool to go and see it, but I don't think they get it out that much. And it's got quite a history when it was getting like, because it's got those burns in there and it got caught up in a fire and they were put. It's quite cool. It's quite cool. Jackie, I did watch Mike Winger, all episodes, really good teaching. Yeah, I didn't watch all. I watched quite a good chunk though. David Morehouse. On a lighter note, are you doing a Christmas message? P.S. You have done well tonight. A few tough questions and avoiding some. There's some things I just can't answer properly because I just can't. Am I doing a Christmas message? Yeah, I thought that. Actually, I didn't do one last year, and then I put it in like in my diary to record a Christmas message, and I thought, I'm going to do Rev Dan's wrap up of 2024, where I did it last year. It wasn't a big video, but it's fun to do. I look at the biggest videos of each month and speak about what they were and why, because that's quite interesting, kind of looking back on which video, because some videos I think, well, that's a big news story, that's why, and actually another one might overtake it or something like that, and I'm like, oh, that's a surprise. So I'll do that. And I was thinking of doing a Christmas message, because that would be quite cool. That would be very cool. So, yeah. And Dr. John Campbell has a video about the shroud too. I'm pretty convinced by it. On the shroud, I should have... Okay. What local saints do we have? We have in the village. We're funny, because we're actually named, the village is named Chalfont St Giles. And so our church is called Chalfont St Giles Parish Church. And because most people like my curacy church, St Mary's, Princess Risborough, or you get the saint and then the place. It's funny, some people go, and who's the saint of your church? And I'm like, it's in the name. It's just the other way around. It's not St Giles Chalfont. It's because we got Chalfont St Peter and Little Chalfont and another Chalfont. We have Chalfont St Giles. in our village. In our village name, which gets quite cool when you get to the Patronal Festival, because actually it doesn't feel like the Patronal Festival for just the church. It feels like for the village, like you're doing this for the parish, like, because we are Chalfont St Giles, not the church in, like St Giles Church in Chalfont. We are Chalfont St Giles, and so it just feels like the Patronal Festival gets more outside of the church, and we do the Patronal Festival on the green outside, which Frangipani. I do need to just put my head in and understand if I'm getting. Well, I could ask you now. Is it Frangipani, or Fragipani, or not? The whole village is honouring St Giles. Yeah, they are. So it's 22. It's gone quickly tonight. It's gone really quickly tonight. For some reason, it just feels like we've shot through. I didn't realise it was 22. My eye feels like, I don't know what's going on in my eye as well. Feels like it's like closing. I don't know if it is. Frangipani. Only Frangipani can tell us. Is that right? If we're right, it's a flower. Oh, so if I look at it on Google, then I'll get the name. That would be cool. So, yes. So let's come into land. So we I always say the parish is very nice. Chalfont St Giles is very beautiful. It's quintessentially English. It is. It's got a green. It's got the store. It's got shops. It's got the church behind. It's got a village pond. The only thing that makes it a nightmare is the traffic going through is just horrendous. Everyone's like, "Oh, it's really lovely, so beautiful," but the traffic is horrendous, which it is. But quintessentially English, it really is, and the church is very beautiful. So so Christmas wise, I'll put out Rev Dan's Roundup 2024. Try get a sermon, a little talk, inspirational, and then what? I was having a discussion today. Let's finish with this. No bus on a Sunday. Yeah, no buses on a Sunday. So, you know that preachers. So I was having this discussion, and there's a whole thing about vicars writing out their sermons and researching their sermons and all this, and it's like, because I've had people say to me, because you don't write your sermon down and you're not doing your sermon properly, blah blah. Anyway, so we started a discussion, and I said, if a vicar, agree with me or not, cannot, at the drop of a hat, stand up to preach a 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30-minute sermon off the top of their head, should they be doing their job, but are they doing their job properly? Because, like in any role, in a lot of jobs in the secular world, you would be expected to be able to do that, right? This is your job. This is what you do. So do it. Someone's fallen ill. They can't preach. You need to just get up and preach. You'd expect them to do it if it's a secular job. But there's a lot of people who are like, I've got to prepare my sermon, and I've got to do this, and I've got to do that. And I'm like, no. I think vicars, pastors, ministers, whichever denomination, should have enough knowledge, enough understanding of the Bible, enough understanding of the world, they got an understanding of their life. To be able to, I'm not going to say it's going to be perfect, but to do a sermon and to bring that knowledge out. And I think, and when we spoke about it, everyone was like, you're right, actually. We got this whole thing where you got to prepare and it's got to be all polished and but we should be able to just stand up and preach a sermon off the top of our heads with the Bible passage in front of us. It's that passage. Okay, let's go. Now, I know people need to prepare, and some people like to read and stuff. But if we're called as priests or pastors or ministers into this role, we should be able to do certain things. Like, so for example, we had the Christmas light switch on. You work the green, as it were. You go around, say hello to people. You have conversations with people. The wreath making events last week, full church, going around to each table, speaking and speaking and speaking. Now, in a way, it's not my natural thing. It takes a bit of effort. But I remember a bishop telling me, like, when we was talking about interviews, I said, what's the most important part? He said, when I'm watching people work the room, he said, for some people it's going to be harder, and some people it's going to be really easy, but that's your job. If it's harder, basically, suck it up. If you're coming in to be a vicar, don't be the one standing in the corner, because that ain't your job, just stand in the corner. Your job is to go out and mingle and to build relationships, build community and preach Christ, So don't not do that. So, and I'm like, it's harsh. It can sound harsh to some people, but I tell you what, it's like, that is your job, isn't it? That's what you, if you can't do it, if you can't work a room, even if that's the last thing you want to do, if you can't just stand up and preach because you need a polished sermon, then why we got into this kind of thing, I think that was what we're kind of discussing, where you can't just preach off the top of your head, because your knowledge is there. Keeps you sharp. And actually, the more you do it, in the sense, not that you want to do it like that all the time, but the more that happens, the better you get. So, there we go. It is late. Okay, let's finish those. Freddie Banning, my late husband would write out his retreat addresses, but not his Sunday sermons. Yeah. If it's there, if you've got it in your head anyway, all you need is a passage, because it jumps out. You place it in your head in the passage. I know people do it different ways, but David Morehouse, keep going. Tourist board could recruit you. Sounds really lovely, mate. Visit on spec. It is beautiful. Oh, it is beautiful. And we've got Milton Cottage here, where he evoked part of Paradise Lost, and had the conversations that started Paradise Regained. Is it Paradise Not Regained? It's along the lines of Paradise, the second one in the series, and that's cool. Jackie, my friend, a retired minister, had to step in to preach with 8 minutes notice. He did a fantastic job. Bedtime. God bless. Thank you. Good night. Can I ask, as a clergyman, do you keep all your sermons and recycle them, the liturgical cycle, or is it every new one? I bear them on a program called Logos, and then I usually delete them, because I've seen people who recycle their sermons, and I think, personally, I'm like, no, it's got to be fresh. It's got to be fresh, and you got to hear what God's saying to you at that time. 3 years ago is a very long time ago, and things have changed, and people can get lazy. So that's it. We're coming into land. I feel like I should do a Christmas. We should do a Christmas party just before Christmas, maybe in 2 weeks or something. Oh, but I got evening services. Be cool. We're down in a Christmas hat. And we sit here for a Christmas party. We'll see. If I do something, I'll let you know. But thank you for joining me once again, and have a great Christmas. If I do not see you, don't have too many mince pies. Let my mince pies still here. It's a bit late, isn't it? 10 to 10 to eat And that's a big mince pie. Look at the size of that. It's a big mince pie. Bit late to have that. I'll have to have that tomorrow. But enjoy Christmas. Merry Christmas. Thank you for your support. And preach Christ. Go tell people the good news. And, this is the season, isn't it? It's an easier season for people to come into our churches and to ask us those questions. So let's take every opportunity to preach Christ. Have a great Christmas if I do not see you before. And have a great New Year as well. And I'll see you next year again.